those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Broadcasting to you on WNN 1470 AM and TrentoVision.tv from the world's leading think tank laboratory, buried deep in an undisclosed building in hostile territory where evil and corruption is exposed. You're about to enter the Tom Trento Show.
All right, here I come out of these clouds into your living room, or if you're driving your automobile, into your cars. Tom Trento here. With CJ. It's your cue.
No, they want to keep it on you.
Oh, yeah, but you can say hello.
I'm saying hello.
We'll bring you in later. Oh, there you are.
Okay, there I am.
And we're here on the 15th, a couple of minutes after 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 15 May 2013. Breaking news in Boca Raton, Florida. Breaking right now, actually last night, but starting to hit the web right now. Boca Raton, Florida Atlantic University. For all of you who have followed the exploits of the United West, our sister organization, counterterrorism group, a Zionistic organization. That's a word, Zionistic. Yeah, we made it up. It's a good word. A supporter of Israel. All of the pro-American stuff we do. Breaking news: you have seen Damon with us and Mark and myself be stopped by the police at Florida Atlantic University from videotaping. You have seen Jesus getting stomped. He got the hell stomped out of him.
Stomp on Jesus. Yes,
out
we
of
are.
FAU. You have seen anti-Semitism running rampant on the campus of Florida Atlantic University in the Tony Town of Boca Raton. 33,000 people go to Florida Atlantic University. It has its own football stadium. And some companies said, yeah, we'll give you $6 million. You put our name on it. And all the leftist whack jobs went crazy because the company somewhere in their portfolio runs a private prison, and prisons are bad, I guess. In any event, the president of Florida Atlantic University, Mary Jane Saunders, and another one bit the dust.
Yes.
She's gone, folks. Another one bit the dust.
Whoa, that's loud.
Mary Jane Saunders, president of Florida Atlantic University, finally resigned last night under tremendous pressure by a whole host of activism or advocacy groups. And many of the folks that we work with thought she needed to resign because of her weak handling of the rampant Muslim Brotherhood affiliated activity on the campus. Not that, and we have maintained this all along, not that these people don't have a right. In fact, we want them to have a right to speak out. But we want the school to take a position to say, we don't agree with that. The school doesn't forfeit its First Amendment rights. And we wanted the school to be fair in handling people like us who wanted to expose the Students for Justice in Palestine. That's just one of the issues.
First Amendment to cover public events at a public university.
Yeah,
that's very basic.
Let's not forget that she practically ran over a student that was protesting the prison naming rights also.
I heard about that
Actually,
one.
I do have the perfect song for this.
What is it?
But you got to talk while you're saying it. So
all right, here we go. And
I know what you're going to play.
And Mary Jane Saunders.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Oh, the witch is dead. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, that's not what I thought you were going to play.
I like another one bit to dust. But she has not fallen that far from grace. She's no longer the president, but she's still going to be teaching there.
Well, yeah, she's got to get her tenure and her guaranteed annual income for the rest of her life,
yes.
et cetera,
paid for by your tax-paying dollars.
But of course. So breaking news today at 5 minutes after 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Boca Raton, Florida, the president of Florida Atlantic University, the controversial president of Florida Atlantic University, Mary Jane Saunders, said bye-bye. All right, now let me ask you before we move on to all of our other
I
stuff.
wonder who's going to replace her.
That's the question.
That's
There
the
you
question.
go.
Is are we going to end up with somebody worse?
Who do you want there to be president?
Bassem al-Halabi, he's already a professor there.
Yeah. I hear Hillary is gunning for the gig.
I nominate Petraeus.
Or Hillary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want to
Petraeus
be
would be good
teaching
choice.
college up in New York. Why don't you come down to Boca
Down
Raton
here.
and be the president of FAU?
Good gig, Hillary. You could go work out and hit the beaches in the morning and all of that.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. So
I think Jay Carney might be looking for a job
Jay
soon.
Carney, he could be a fun president for sure. I need a little more volume here if possible. All right. Well, Tom Trento here on the 15th May 2013. Another jam-packed show today. I'm telling you, folks, when we do the pre-production, we figure out there's 87 stories that we deal with, particularly in our little world of national security. But we can only do so much now that we have an hour. But it's an hour television show. Keep telling your friends about this. Tweet them, twix them, jab them, jack them. Do whatever you have to them to wake them up to our show, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock East Coast time. Hello to all our great Tea Party community friends. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. Please, right now, tell your friends. Go to TrentoVision.tv if you can make a little donation. $10. That's all we're asking.
Make a mitzvah. Make it 18.
We can do like a telethon here. Make it 18.
Make it
yeah,
18.
Yeah, we're going to do telethons
Yeah, we need
until
to do
you guys
telethon.
start sending us money. That'll show you.
Yes, that will be.
I'll vote the phone banks.
No. You'll do the beg.
Hello, Schmucky. I'd like to give some money. How do I do it?
So just give me your credit card number.
All right, so.
Can you say that number again?
I can't hear you.
Are you making fun of me?
I can't hear you. Say it louder. We sometimes have an older listening audience, and we have to be sensitive to that, and we are. All right, so here's what we're doing, folks, this week. We have a 5-part series. Today's part 47 of the 5-part series, and we're
Day
following up.
255 of the 4-part series.
We're following up the adventures of Mark and Tom in Washington, D.C. last week, sitting in the Benghazi hearing, and then having a press conference regarding the cover-up of the Obama administration of the failures related to the largest loss of naval special operators' life, SEAL Team 6 in naval special warfare history, Extortion 17. We had that press conference. It went virally all over the world, 3-hour press conference. So this week we're taking key presenters and deconstructing and explaining what their position is. These are leaders. But our 5-part series will spill over into next week because things are going a little more slowly than we had anticipated, which is good. We're providing more content and depth of information for you. So this
Part
is the
4
place
of
to be.
Infinity.
Yeah, it'll be something like that with Infinity. And the overarching theme is let them die. We've established the fact that the Obama administration has in its eyes the twinkling of stars in the establishment of the United States of
Obama.
the United States of Obama. The ideologues, the Jay Carney and the Susan Rice's and
Eric
the whole
Holders.
team and Axelrod and all these guys, they see the United States of Obama within reach, and they're going to do whatever they can. And if they even have to maybe in the future cover something up, but they would never do that. They would never cover
Never.
anything.
Never.
Ever.
Well,
Never cover anything.
Sometimes administrations do have to cover things up.
Yes. And,
Absolutely. But
and-
this is not something for them to be covering up.
And we're going to expose their cover-ups. And it's getting hard because they happen
They should have covered up
they happen every
who took
day.
out bin Laden.
The cover-up count.
Okay, that
is-
would have been a good
That's a good
cover-up to
cover-up,
have.
exactly.
That's a good cover-up. That's an example of a good cover-up.
I could-
Benghazi, not so much.
Extortion 17, the White House AP story, the IRS, Benghazi.
All
I mean,
that
when does it stop? It just keeps going.
Oh, and not to
Extortions?
mention leaking our allies' secrets to the world.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
know it's crazy stuff, and so we're gonna explain all of this tomorrow. We're hoping to have the Vaughns on here, Billy and Karen Vaughn. We're working on that. It's 50-50 at this point, And then Friday, Action Day. We're going to tell you what you can do with all this great information. But right now, we're going to a special guest, good friend of ours. Not only a good friend, but he's our host. And he can be your host too.
He's the host with the most.
He can be your host too, because on September 30th, we ain't going to be here. We're going to be going over there. On the 30th of September, which is May, June, July, 4 months, folks, 4 months from right now, we will be heading to the east, to the Middle East, going to Israel for about 10 days, and we're going to have a phenomenal tour. We're talking about that. But let's bring in our good friend, our host on the trip, Ron Wexler. There he is.
Oh, he's so happy. Look at him.
All right. Hi, Ron. How you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, I think through the magic of our studio here, you can see CJ and I, right?
That's right.
Oh, cool. Good stuff. It's always better when you can see the person you're talking to.
Yes, so we must make sure not to whisper about
that's
you.
That's the camera. He's in, the little one on the right. Okay?
All right.
All right, Ron, give us a quick update as to the logistics of the tour, the Heritage Study Tour, and a quick overview for folks so we can get them, because we're coming down to the hour, folks, where you need to contact Tom at TrentoVision.tv or go to the website and start signing up, put a $100 deposit or whatever Ronnie needs for the deposit. And, we'll figure out how to help you get the money. You can garage sales, whatever. But tell us where we are right now in the whole process, Ron.
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I'd like to say to everybody in your viewing audience and listeners, happy Shavuot. Today is Shavuot, which is Pentecost on the calendar. And I just came back from synagogue, and I can tell you that God is in control, and whatever happens, happens. And happy Shavuot to everybody.
Now, hey, Ron, before you do that, because you're a theologian also, I understand that Christian Pentecost, the 50 days after the resurrection, the Holy Spirit came. Explain the Jewish Pentecost.
It's the same. It's one of the same. The only difference is that one is the lunar calendar and one is the Gregorian calendar, but it's the very same.
Yeah, but the 50-day time period was between...
No, it's the very same. It's just that the period of the year on the Gregorian calendar and the Jewish calendar differ because of the seasons. But 2,000 years ago, in the Last Supper, when it was Passover, it was equal. So Pentecost, known as Christians, and Shavuot were the same day, on the same day of the week too. Later on, when the two groups started to use different calendars, it changed somewhat, but it's about the same time of the year. Okay. So it's one and the same.
Yeah.
Excellent, thanks. Okay, tell us about the trip. Then we want to know a little bit about the 65th anniversary of Israel, which in the United States, it was yesterday, the recognition of it. But again, with that Jewish lunar calendar, it was a different time. But tell us about the trip first.
Right. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to Israel. I hope everybody can make it. And I would like everybody to actually give us a call in the next few days. I'm on my way to Israel on Saturday night, and I'm going to stay there almost to the time of the trip. So I'm not going to be in the United States at all. I'm going to be working from my office in Israel. And it will be so nice to come to the airport and see you, Tom, and your crew and your people with the delegation that will come to Israel. Every trip to Israel is a good trip. I haven't seen anybody saying to me that they had a bad time. But what we have on our trips to Israel is something extra special. Why? Because we meet with very, very different people. Obviously, we're going to see all the sites that most people would like to see in Israel, either modern sites in Israel or the biblical sites in Israel, whether Jewish or Christian. But every night, almost every night, we're going to have a meeting with somebody of extreme importance in Israel, whether in government, local authorities, the IDF, the intelligence community. So we will talk to people that make things happen in Israel. We will hear firsthand what's going on. We understand better a little bit the positioning of Israel in the Middle East. Certainly in times such as this, everybody gets different opinions, but in Israel, we assess it differently in the United States. Most of it doesn't get on the media. Most of it doesn't get on radio or television. So the only time to really understand Israel for what it is and what it stands for and what's going on around and against Israel is to be there to talk to the people that are in control, whether in government or the army or the intelligence community. So every night we will meet with someone. Every night at dinner we'll host somebody, and after dinner we will have a time to actually mingle with them, listening to what they have to say, and ask questions. I think by the time we come back, we will be all experts on Israel and the Middle East. And I really would like you to take it as a mission, because so many people, as we just heard about FAU, for instance, that are saying so many wrong things, and all of them are lies. So for you to really have the answers to those people who come up with these lies is to be there and to listen firsthand to what's going on in Israel. We will see it, we will feel it, we will be together with the people there, and nothing will make me happier than take you to all these sites, to all these places, and introduce you to the governing people of Israel, the lawmakers, the high-rank IDF people, the community of the intelligence and counterintelligence, and as I said before, by the time you come back, you will be experts. You will have the answers to answer those who come against you.
Hey, this is very. I'm getting excited right now, Ron, and we have 4 months to go. Mark and I can testify, because we went last year, first time, that not only are you a different person, but when you travel that tiny country, which is the size of New Jersey, when you travel that country, and it's in the news every minute of every day. I mean, Israel's in the news virtually every minute of every day, and you hear Sderot, or you hear the Golan, or you hear the Old City, and you've been there. I'm getting goosebumps right now. You go, I was there. Oh, I remember that. Oh. So in terms of anyone serious about national security, about Christianity, about Judaism, it is essential to get to Israel. And it's essential to come with me, Frank Gaffney, Bill Federer, Bill Murray, and Ron Wexler, who has taken 100,000 people over 30 years. Ronnie has taken 100,000 people over 30 years. I want to ask the four of you in here, very quickly, just one statement, no speeches. I'm assuming everybody wants to go. Why do you want to go? We'll start with you, Damon.
I'm dying to go because I've never been, and
you're Jewish, and you
I'm
haven't been
Jewish,
there.
and I gotta go.
Okay. Dave, you're a Christian. You want to go to Israel?
Well, I would love to go to Israel. I'd love to just travel the world for a year or two and be able just to see the different dynamics and cultures and diversity out there to open your mind and expand it and understand how life really works.
All right, Mark, you want to go again?
Falafels.
The falafels were great
Falafels,
in
that's right.
Netanya.
That's what I want to go do.
All right. And the lady.
I need to go. I've needed to go my whole life, and I'm waiting for a big family reunion over there. I have like over 100 relatives there who I have to see.
You've never been?
See, you got to go. Okay.
I gotta go. I'm coming.
Okay. We all will be going. Ron started this by saying he just came out of synagogue, and the conclusion of his time there is God is in control, and God is in control on TrentoVision, the United West, and this crew will go. We'll come hell or high water or Armageddon or even the Iranians. We will be there with.
We're going to Armageddon.
We're going. That's right,
We
Ron.
are.
Are we going to Armageddon? Are we going there, Ron?
We're going to Har-Megiddo, which is Armageddon, and we'll understand better what the Bible is all about. Really, when you go to Israel, you take the Bible with you, and that becomes your guide as well. You never read the Bible the same once you are on location and you get to understand what this is all about. But I would like to take a minute, especially those who can see. I'm holding in my hands a passport. Can anybody read that?
Palestine.
British
Boy.
passport,
Palestine.
Palestine.
Yes.
Wow.
That's my father's passport.
You're
That's
kidding
my
me.
father. This is my father's passport. I'm holding it in my hands to those who cannot see.
Yeah.
And it was issued in 1934
Wow.
when Israel was under the mandate of the British Empire. When we go to Israel, I would like to explain what Israel is, what Palestine is, and really let people get information that is so necessary to be able to go to FAU and to talk to people who throw at you nonsense that never existed, and you don't have the right answer, and you look like you really don't have the answer. So when you come with us to Israel, you get the answers. You come back and you can actually take a position. This is a mission. You come to Israel with us and there is a mission behind it. You come back and you have answers to those who come to tell lies. Whether it's people up in the government, whether it's people in universities, when it's people in campuses, when it's people in the street, you will have answers. And to me, this is the most important thing, why you come to Israel. Of course, we will visit all the beautiful places. We will see all of Israel, from top to bottom, from east to west. We will see Israel, but we'll see something nobody else does on regular tours. We will understand Israel. You will meet with Israelis who really have something to say in Israel. They govern the country. They are in government. They are in Knesset. They are in the army. I can tell you that when you come back, you will understand why you went. You will never enter Israel the way you came out. And this is a promise. And I can tell you today is the 65th year anniversary to Israel. What is this? Israel existed for 3,500 years. So what is the anniversary of 65? Anniversary of 65 is just a date on a book, just because somebody in the United Nations, it wasn't even the United Nations, it was the League of Nations, decided to have a vote whether to have Israel or not. At that particular time, this passport that I'm holding in my hand changed from Palestinian passport to Israeli passport. I happen to be a Palestinian because I was born in 1947.
So you want to nuke Israel then, right?
In the room.
Allah Akbar!
Who the country belong to and who is a true Palestinian. Those who came from Damascus or Syria or Egypt and immigrated to Israel because my father came there and provided them with a job.
Oh boy.
Or me that was born in the land to a man that his forefathers received it from God. I want them to talk to me. Okay? And this is what I think.
I'm going to pack right now.
Okay. I'm going to pack right now. But there will be fun also, right? This will be a fun
There will
trip,
be a lot of
right?
fun.
It's not all work, right?
Israel has the best food. You've been there, Tom.
Yeah, it's great
and,
food.
and
Fish
I know
is
Mark was
tremendous.
there.
Yeah.
It has fantastic food. We're going to break bread. We'll have dinners and lunches and breakfasts and there's terrific wine in Israel. So
Okay,
the
so
wine
all
of
you
Israel
ladies lose like at
Couple
least
of pounds,
5
yeah,
pounds
yeah.
before you have 4 months to lose 5 pounds for this trip.
It
That's
will be
easy.
a lot of fun. But one thing I must stress, we are almost at the point of no return. We need to know from people who are going. So whether you mention it every day on your program or not, those who are listening to me now, you need to call the program to let them know that you are coming. Because very, very shortly, we need to let go the rooms that we're holding and we don't use. So please, in the next couple of weeks, we need to formalize the group. And those who are listening now, please make the call.
And you can contact Tom at TrentoVision.tv, Tom at TrentoVision.tv if you're interested.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. And if they want to go to the website and look at the itinerary and all that, well, what is the website, Ron?
Well, the Heritage Study Programs, but you have their, I think, the website in front of you. The best way is to go to heritagestudyprograms.com.
Yeah, and throw up the lower third on that, Dave.
All right, we're putting that up right now. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, great. Ron Wexler, we appreciate it. Hey, now that we are Skyping one another, you're going to Israel. This works in Israel, too. Would you do like a weekly update with us for 5 or 10 minutes?
I'd love to, Tom. I'll be more than happy.
Excellent. All right, we're looking
Have
forward
a
to it.
safe trip. Look
You have
forward to seeing you soon.
Great trip.
Thank you
over.
very much. Love you, and happy Shavuot.
Chag Sameach.
Thank you, and we'll see you in Tel Aviv, okay?
Okay.
All right, see you.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. All right, Ron Wexler, everybody. You got to come on this trip, I'm telling you.
This
And,
is it. This is the trip.
And people are going to worry
This
a little
is the-
bit. They're going to say, well, you're because I was a little concerned. You're announcing this publicly. You know, there's United West and Trento and all this stuff, and there's crazy people out there. How do we know there's not going to be crazy people on the trip.
Well, I think if you're on the trip, we know that there's going to be crazy
Yeah, that's
people
true.
on
Yeah,
the
that's
trip.
true.
Well, the answer to that, because I asked Ronnie, is
Okay.
he said, we're going to Israel, okay? And the Israeli government will clear everybody that's coming on the trip. So
Are they going to allow me to come?
yeah, we have a special place for you on this trip. We do.
Luggage handler.
Luggage rider is where we're going to put
Yeah, you have
Imam
to get
Abdullah.
yourself down to about 50 pounds
Yeah.
because union rules there.
But everyone who comes on this will be known by Ronnie, by myself, by somebody, some relationship, and
By the Mossad.
but
By the
we'll-
side.
and will be fully cleared by the Israeli government. So no troublemakers, no problems, no bad guys. So it's going to be amazing. Very, very cool. It is cool. All right, now, before we get our next special guest and go into Benghazi, Mark has an update on us regarding your
Your AP
study of
story?
the Associated Press going medieval on the president. This is pretty cool.
Well, this is a total payback, is what this is. The AP did not succumb to Obama's wishes by not suppressing this story. One of the untold parts about this story is the AP contacted the Obama administration about the terror event and asked them if they could release the story. And just as a recap, there was a terror bomb plot coming from Yemen, and it was going to be on an airline, and they were going to blow up an airplane. Well, they got intercepted, and someone inside the Obama administration leaked it to the Associated Press. And the Obama administration had put out the narrative already that Al Qaeda is on the run. Al Qaeda is on the run and bin Laden's dead. And they wanted that narrative to keep going. And when they did not succumb to the Obama administration's wishes to suppress that story, the Obama administration got mad. And that's what happened when they started launching the investigation.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And they said this was a punishment. This was not a leak finding thing, as they were talking about. Now the whole point about which made the Holder came out and said yesterday, oh, this is such a serious leak. This is like the third highest, security leak that we had, and we really wanted to go after the Associated Press and their contacts. Who is the contact? And then that's what they wanted to find out, apparently. But it was so bad. It was such a bad leak and was such a threat to national security that he didn't tell the President of the United States. He totally just pushed it off to a subordinate and let him run the investigation. So we're going to do an investigation of the major news organization in the United States, the AP, and we're not going to tell the President about it. And the President has no knowledge of this whatsoever. This continues to be Eric Holder's line of reasoning. When asked, Mr. Holder, they were asked today, do you have any knowledge of the investigation? Well, no, sir, I don't have anything. I passed that off to a subordinate.
Right.
And people ask him, well, did the President know about this? Well, no. Nobody knew about this. This was a totally FBI thing. The President had no knowledge of any of this.
Well, he had no knowledge of Benghazi while Benghazi was happening.
Well, you're right about that, and that's the whole point of this whole investigation. It was directed from Obama, come down to punish the AP for destroying his narrative. Once again, how it relates to Benghazi, how they wanted to portray the narrative that bin Laden's dead, Al Qaeda is on the run, and this totally contradicted that narrative. That they didn't want to have a bomb go off on the year anniversary after bin Laden's death. How does that sound like Al Qaeda's on the run?
Not too good. Not too good at all.
Not a little bit before an election.
And it doesn't go too well with Sheikh Yosef Qaradari, who. All right. Anything else on that, Mark? Before I
it's just
got about 1 minute.
Yeah, the big thing is just that it is another thing that Obama cannot take responsibility for. He is incapable of taking responsibility for anything unless it's, oh, I killed bin Laden, and the administration killed. It's always, when it's positive, he goes with the first personal pronoun.
Right.
When it's a negative story,
I know nothing.
I know nothing.
It sounds very Islamic, Mark.
I think it's very interesting, though, that a major news organization in the United States did not cave into the White House. This is a
interesting.
first.
Yes.
Well, they actually asked, they waited for a while. They sat on this story for a while
Well, it
to
ain't
try to
over,
appease
too.
them.
It ain't over. We're going to see.
We'll
if,
see what
if
happens.
they go, we're so sorry. They come
Oh,
up to
yeah.
him.
Like
But-
Bob Woodward.
Yeah, exactly. But the Obama.
I didn't mean it.
The Obama narrative is a little out of sync with Sheikh Joseph Kwaradari's narrative. He was in Gaza over the weekend, and he said, or is this a lunatic terrorist? Oh, no. This is Sheikh Joseph Kwaradari. Our whole ambition is to die on the path to Allah. I am sure we will conquer. He then goes on and says, we believe that the battle between us and the Jews is coming. Such a battle is not driven by nationalistic causes or patriotic belonging. Rather, it is driven by religious incentives. The battle is going to be between us and the Jews. I mean, he lays it out clearly.
He says it's not about land for peace.
Not about land for peace. And Al-Qaeda feeds at the footstep of Sheikh Kwaradari, who is the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood and most of the Muslims in the world.
Yeah.
So this is Islam. Remember the series we did a week or so ago?
It's Islam, stupid.
It's Islam, stupid. Well, this is Kwaradari. The White House is out of sync. The White House is starting to fumble and crumble with these various scandals, one of which is extremely significant. It's Ben Gazzara, the Ben Gazzara scandal. Ben
died.
Gazzara. Oh, he did die. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. Ben Gazzara's dead.
Yeah, and the
It's
scandal
the-
lives on.
It's the Benghazi scandal, right? Oh, no, wait. It's the Benghazi scandal.
It's a there's no there scandal.
There's no there.
Yeah, can we play that?
Now,
I
before
can't
we get to
enough
our
of that.
special guest, I want Imam Abdullah to comment a little bit on Kwaradari's view of the battle between you guys and the Jews.
He could not have said it any better or more clearly. It is absolutely how the Hadith, the Quran, the Surah, it is who we are. It is what we are. That is it. It is. We will not rest until we have eliminated the last Jews.
But suppose we give you the land. Suppose we give you the land for peace.
It is not about the land. Do you not listen to what you are reading yourself, Trento? Please, you're a smart man. Listen to what you say. Listen to what you say. It is not about the land. It is about the theology.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Well, on that happy note, let's go to California to a gentleman out there, actually a friend of mine for many years. I'll put 3 manys in there. Fascinating guy who is one of the leading proponents of the pro-life mentality in the world, runs an organization called Center for Bioethical Reform, was elected to the Pennsylvania State House. He's an attorney, Vietnam veteran, decorated Vietnam veteran, retired colonel, Air Force colonel, worked in the Pentagon, worked in the Reagan White House. This guy's done a little bit of everything. He's almost done as much stuff as I have. So
Trento's so funny.
I'd like to bring on my good friend Greg Cunningham. Is he there? Oh, there he is.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, good to see you both. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we
Yeah,
hear
Here we
you.
can.
Yes,
Wow, he looks
All right.
like a professor, doesn't
yes,
he?
he does.
Well, you know, I don't have my bow tie on. That's the only thing I'm missing. But Tom asked me, before we get into the interview, I'd like to clarify, I actually worked for John Bolton at the U.S. Department of Justice in the Office of Legislative Affairs, not in the White House. I was at various times a Reagan political appointee, but I was working at during the period in question for John Bolton at DOJ. Now, Tom has asked me to come on the program and answer some very important questions. Number one, who is this Benjamin Ghazi? I mean, that's the first. Number two, what did he know and when did he know it? And so we will address these questions. The Benghazi guy seems to be dominating the news cycles right now, so we'll talk about that. But the thing I would like to do, though, all kidding aside, is look at this from a more purely political perspective. What are the political implications of some of what's going on and some of what...
Damon, turn the video off. All right, we've lost him as far as a technical, little technical
we'll
glitch.
get him back.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and we're gonna have to redial him up.
All right, so we'll find him. We'll get him back.
We'll get him back.
And a little more background about Greg Cunningham. Not just an attorney, an intelligence officer, all of that. And I have fought many battles as activists in Colorado when we were there on a whole variety of issues. And we made a very interesting... Is he back? Okay, let's get him back. All right.
Am I back on?
Yeah, we're going to run the audio. Here we go. We got you back. Go ahead.
Okay. From a political perspective, it's been very frustrating to me to watch the Republican leadership's response to all of this, particularly in the House. I believe it's been weak. The Republicans lost a great opportunity, and apparently there were negotiations going on between Hillary Clinton and various committees in the House that wanted her to testify, and she would apparently only agree to testify if she could not be placed under oath. And can you imagine the great political ads that could have been created if it would have been disclosed that Hillary Clinton would only agree to testify if she didn't have to swear under oath that she wasn't lying? That would have been a far more valuable sort of gaffe than the, what difference does it make sort of thing. So that was an opportunity that was lost. The second opportunity that hangs in the balance, and it'll be interesting to see whether the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate and the political establishment has the agility to exploit this, is this mythology that's been carefully created around Hillary Clinton as mistress of the universe and the greatest Secretary of State the Republic has ever seen, etc., cannot be played both ways. Either she's telling the truth when she says she was totally out of the loop on the most serious, pressing, important crisis to afflict the State Department on her watch, or she was merely a figurehead and was just a political hack and not hands-on and not all of the marvelous management, managerial insights and expertise, etc., that she's claiming right now. She can't have it both ways. This defense she's offering, about which you spoke earlier when you talked about Obama saying, I know nothing, and Holder saying, I know nothing. Hillary's saying, I know nothing, and she's saying that she delegated this enormously important responsibility. Even after being briefed by the deputy ambassador in Libya, she's saying she delegated all of this to subordinates. Obama went to bed and Hillary went. We don't really know where she went. And so she can't have it both ways. And that ought to be exploited very, very heavily. That theme ought to be developed much more fully. Now, Robert Gates, the former CIA director and former Secretary of Defense and ostensibly a Republican, although only a nominal one, has been in the news here the last couple of days defending the administration and saying, well, we didn't have forces on alert, we didn't have a plan, all of which has been contradicted by operators on the ground who said that they did have a contingency plan. They were ready to go, and that they were stood up and then ordered to stand down. And so this idea that we weren't well prepared is demonstrably untrue. A political decision was made to deny the ambassador this security that he needed, and you've talked about that. I won't go back over that because that was necessary to harmonize this Obama narrative that his foreign policy was so enlightened at Hillary Clinton's direction that Al-Qaeda had gone away and the world was at peace and all the rest, and putting security in would have been inconsistent with that narrative. But if we take at face value, and I don't, Robert Gates' assertion that we didn't have a plan, that we didn't have troops on alert in the most hostile region of the world, where we have forces, where we're at war, we've been at war for a decade.
On 9/11, by the
9/11,
way.
yeah.
Hello.
9/11.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yes. He would have us believe that we were just caught totally flat-footed. Why would that be? Whose responsibility would that be? Well, how about Leon Panetta?
Yep.
Why has Leon Panetta gone slinking out of town as quickly as he could go? And Leon Panetta, I must say, has a lot of experience slinking out of town. He cost taxpayers millions and millions of dollars flying home to California every weekend so he could spend the weekend in his walnut groves. When he should have been developing these plans. What was he doing? He was opening military housing to the acquaintances of gay and lesbian service members and issuing them military ID cards as dependents and giving them access to the commissary and the BX and all of those kinds of things. And he was opening combat to women, 2 female Marines. And I have, as a retired military officer, great respect for women in uniform, but not in combat. I do not believe that that's a suitable role, and we can talk about that on
Gender nullification of the Obama administration.
Colonel, I have a question for you.
That's
And
Mark.
and I've been in the military for years. My father is a colonel in the Army, and I'm very well versed with the military and their psychology and their thinking. Now, we had the other day Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney come out and say that 2 Joint Chiefs of Staff, referring to Dempsey, the current Chief of Staff, and
Mullen.
the Admiral Mullen, the other Joint Chiefs of Staff. And he said, a Lieutenant General, 3-star general, if you will, came out and said that the Joint Chiefs of Staff is involved in a cover-up. And I know from my experience in the military, and I'd like to hear from your viewpoint this just isn't done by a 3-star general to talk about a 4-star general in that fashion unless he is completely convinced. And also we had another, Lieutenant General Boykin, basically saying the same thing. And also Admiral Ace Lyons, former commander of the Pacific Fleet, saying the same thing. How much of a shockwave does this type of information that the 2 Joint Chiefs of Staff are involved in a cover-up?
Well, it's no more shocking than that Robert Gates is running cover for this administration. It's very, very distressing, and it's an open secret that generals and admirals at the highest flag ranks have been politicized to the point that you simply can't get promoted if you either don't have a political agenda that is consistent with the with the current administration, or you're viewed as compliant, sort of a team player. You'll go along with anything, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Where was David Petraeus in all of this? I've lost so much respect for David Petraeus. Hang on, if I could finish this thought. David Petraeus is the guy responsible for writing these talking points that got totally scrubbed away, and all he basically did was say, gee, that's not good, that's not a good thing. David Petraeus should have gone to the White House and said, either the talking points reflect reality, or I'm calling a press conference and I'm resigning. He didn't have the integrity to do that. They had a little
something
hanging over his head.
Yeah, well, let's just say that he was working on his biographer. He was working on his biography at the time, right? And so he was certainly preoccupied. But the point I was about to make is that lack of integrity sort of presaged the lack of integrity of his. He could have redeemed himself at that point and said, I'm going to redeem my honor, and I'm not going to go along with this to save my career. But let's back up a little bit. This careerism, this tendency toward careerism, has been crippling the military. It's both on the general officer side and on the political side for a very, very long time. If you go all the way back to the Beirut barracks bombing, we did absolutely nothing at least nothing substantial, to retaliate against that, for the simple reason that secretaries of defense get vilified historically if they associate themselves with failed military operations. If the narrative becomes that they dragged us into something we should have stayed out of, they're going to pay a very, very heavy price for that.
And they'll pay no price at all. There will be no accountability if the narrative becomes, well, they kept us out of something that we should have gone into. And so you had the very same thing with, starting with Caspar Weinberger, who was a decent guy. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Cap Weinberger, now deceased. But he made a terrible mistake, in my judgment, by arguing to Ronald Reagan that we just didn't know enough about Iran's involvement in the barracks bombing. It was an open secret that Iran was involved, and we had a myriad of options that we could have taken short of war. But he was risk averse, and I think he was looking back at the example of Robert McNamara, who was so heavily vilified as a result of his involvement with the Vietnam War, and a sort of latter-day example of that is Donald Rumsfeld and the war in Iraq. Totally vilified. I mean, the left just despises the guy. And people like Robert Gates and Leon Panetta and William Cohen, when the USS Cole was attacked, and America basically shrugged its shoulders and said, well, gee, that wasn't a very good thing, but we don't really know who did it. What we need to do is take our best guess and go kick some keister and make an example out of somebody. And I frankly don't particularly care who it is, but make an example out of somebody to impose a deterrent effect, because this careerism, this tendency toward risk aversion right now is rearing its ugly head again with regard to Iran, and this whole sort of this double game that the administration is playing, saying we're not going to let Iran get the bomb. Yeah. And the problem with that is...
Hey, wait, Greg, we got everybody here. We got limited time, and we got a bunch of questions for you.
All right, go ahead.
We're going to have you back. But CJ's got the first question related to this video. Go ahead.
Related to Benghazi, when you're talking about Hillary and the administration, apart from all the lies of did she know anything or was she just a hack, afterwards she perpetuated the lie and the myth that this whole thing was unforeseen because it was all related to a video of a cartoon about Muhammad. And she kept that narrative going for a long time. Yep. After.
Right, and the president of the White House on the 25th of September.
Please go ahead. I thought you were pausing for me to respond. Please go ahead.
Well, we're pausing now for you, Greg.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait, we're not pausing.
Yeah. Just one other thing. When you're talking about the rampant careerism in the military, not just in the military, this is civilian FBI, civilian CIA.
Yeah, but I want to hear about the video.
Okay, but I know you're never getting back to me,
right.
so I wanted to make sure I got that in there.
Your point is very well taken. I take it. I totally agree. Who selected this oversight committee, this investigative panel that was to look into the State Department thing, headed by Thomas Pickering, longtime U.S. ambassador to first the United Nations and also to Israel, Mike Mullen? Hillary Clinton selected the two of them, and she selected the two of them because she believed they would be compliant. She believed they would be lapdogs.
Which they were.
And if you watch Thomas Pickering on television, it just makes you cringe.
Yes.
Here's a man who served his country faithfully for decades, and he talks about Hillary Clinton as though he's talking about a revered religious figure in hushed referential terms. He's totally deferential, and all he's doing is whatever Hillary tells him to do. And the same thing with Mike Mullen. I mean, Mike Mullen was Iran's best friend at the Pentagon, basically keeping the United States out of any support for a strike by the Israelis. And so what happens is Hillary Clinton. I mean, why is she still making these ridiculous video arguments? Is because she owned the media, and she thought this could go on forever, and she overplayed her hand. She became incautious precisely because she has made a career out of owning the media, out of little reporters following her around like puppy dogs, doing her bidding, and she never thought it would end, and so she overplayed her hand.
Interesting. Mark?
No, I just keep going back to the Mullen thing. I mean, once again, because this really has to if you're a person in the military and you're thinking, oh my God, the military is covering this up, how does this affect our fighting force? How does this affect our fighting force in the field? I mean, just the knowledge that the appearance of this general being or an admiral being involved in the cover-up, and our current chief of staff being in the cover-up, that just has to send, all types of messages right down the chain of command. Hey, listen, the chief of the military is towing the line. I got to toe the line, and if I'm a soldier out there in the field and I'm going to go out there and try to kill terrorists, are the generals going to go politics on it? Are they going to send relief troops for me? What's going to happen? I'm just saying that this just has such a tremendous effect on our military effectiveness of our fighting force.
Right, Mark. I totally agree. The quintessential definition of statesmanship is being more committed to doing your job than you are to keeping your job. And if you look at the recent history of senior military officers rolling over in the face of
it's disgusting.
Galling cuts in military spending, tremendous social engineering going on that's eroding the readiness of the force. And behind the scenes, these generals and admirals were railing, they were lamenting, they were weeping, they were saying this is destroying the military. None of them, Mark, had the integrity to get on the telephone and say, I'm calling a press conference for next Monday, and I'm going to resign. I'm going to resign my position. I'm going to resign my commission, and I'm going to state why I'm doing it, and I'm challenging you to do the same thing. And put together a committee of 6, 8, 10 really senior officers who say either this is going to change or we're out of here. You're going to have to find stooges, political hacks somewhere in the ranks who will do your bidding in eviscerating the military, but we're not going to be part of it. They didn't have the guts for that. It is careerism. It's exactly why David Petraeus went along, and you can say, oh, it was because of his mistress kind of thing. That would have been an opportunity for him to redeem his philandering with his mistress by saying, even though it's the end of my career, I want to go out for some meaningful purpose, not because I cheated on my wife. I want to go out because I saved the republic.
100%.
Amen.
Hey,
All
where's
right,
their honor? Where's their honor?
This is Tom Trento, TrentoVision.tv. If you're watching the show and if you're on the radio side, WNN 1470 on the AM dial. Just a few minutes before 6 o'clock, we have the issue of Benghazi that we've been dealing with, and with us is our special friend and special guest, retired Colonel Greg Cunningham. Greg runs a pro-life organization. Now, he and I were fighting the pro-life battle way back years ago, and I got into national security. He's a decorated Vietnam veteran, elected politician to the State House in Pennsylvania, served, as we said earlier, in the Pentagon, appointed at different positions by President Reagan, and his claim to fame is that he knows me. That's his claim to fame. So, but Greg, we have in studio. We're all, Zionistic, pro-American people. But we do allow a Muslim imam to come in, Imam Abdullah, and he has a question for you, Greg Cunningham. Imam Abdullah, you got a couple of minutes left. Go ahead.
Very quickly, Mr. Cunningham, I have a question for you. Do you think that the Muslim sister Uma Abedin had anything to do with Hillary Clinton's cover-up and the reason for making the film, reason for the attack on the Benghazi consulate?
Well, I don't believe in guilt by association, and I certainly don't paint all Muslims as Islamists. But there's absolutely no question that this whole thing is a charade. It's embarrassing. It's the kind of thing that you might see in an 8th grade student council sort of intrigue. But it's exactly what happens when there's no accountability. It's what happens when the press is not holding our public officials accountable. They simply run riot, and they imagine they can do anything they want to do. They can make up ridiculous arguments about videos that are so implausible they don't even pass the Snicker test. And the press will just go along and continue to carry water for them. And it worked for a very long time. And it's going to be interesting now to see whether the press, having latched onto this at some level, is able to sustain it. And a big part of the answer to that question, getting at the video and all the rest of this, is going to be whether the Republicans in the House have the intelligence to say, let's stop this plethora of committees, 4, 5, 6 committees, all competing with one another in an incoherent, disjointed way that's starting to look like the Gong Show, where we don't have the best and the brightest of our members on camera. Let's get a select committee. Let's get the best staff people. Let's get the very most statesman-like lawmakers. And let's start building this, as Fred Thompson says, from the bottom up. Let's build the case from the bottom up, not trying to hit home runs and score media points. And
Yeah, but Greg, that's going to fall on Boehner's shoulders. I mean,
of course it is. Yes, it is. That's my point. But we need to be pressuring Boehner and say what we're risking here is the sort of excess. I mean, people running around talking about impeachment, for instance. The worst thing we could do is talk about impeaching this president, even if he's weakened, even if Hillary Clinton gets weakened by this scandal, which I hope happens, and I hope Jillian Gillibrand and Andrew Cuomo and all these people who are sitting on the sidelines for 2016 are emboldened to jump into the race. We don't want Barack Obama out of office. We want him crippled in office. If he were to be impeached, I mean, number one, even if we were to take the Senate in 2014, even if we were to take the Senate in 2014, making impeachment plausible, he might be impeached in the House and convicted in the Senate. It would be a stupid thing to do because the American people, there would be a tremendous backlash. And all we would get would be what? Joe Biden? I mean, does anybody think that's progress? Stop the impeachment stuff. That's irresponsible. Get a select committee of responsible lawmakers who will build this case in a coherent way from the bottom up, and the imam's question will be answered to a fairly well.
Okay, thank you, Greg Cunningham. We appreciate it. We've got about 1 minute left. Any comments or quick questions for Greg? Anybody? Nope. Good.
Nope.
Yeah, real quick.
We're out of time.
Your opinion on the hearts and minds strategy.
Real quick, 30 seconds, Greg. The hearts and minds strategy of Obama administration to win the hearts and minds of Muslim terrorists.
Yeah, well, I think he's already won their hearts and minds, and they've won his heart and mind.
Thank
and,
you.
And we're all of one heart and mind.
All right, on that note.
Well, actually, we're all mindless and heartless now, I think.
We're all
haters.
Well put. I stand corrected.
All right, thank you, Colonel Greg Cunningham, retired Air Force, good friend of ours. We will have you back. Okay, and your
Thank
kids.
you. I'd love to come back and read the gospel to the imam. He sounds like he's ready.
I'll do that. And one of your kids kept sneaking in the picture, so
I know, I kept hushing her away. She actually could have done this interview quite compellingly if I would have let her on camera.
I'm sure she could have. Thank you, Greg Cunningham. We got to sign off now in a couple of seconds
All right.
here, folks.
God bless. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Great guy. Greg is one of the most well-informed political and national security people that I know of. Folks, this is the end of part 3 of our
555 part series.
Of the never-ending parts.
The never-ending thing, and we got to go right now. We love you all. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.